I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at an amazing book. It is called Lost in Here, a true story. It's written by a terrific author by the name of Melinda Christensen. This gripping and inspirational book chronicles her husband John's battle with severe memory loss after a life-changing seizure. Today, we will discover how their unwavering love, faith, and resilience help them navigate extraordinary challenges and find hope. We're delighted that this very talented author is joining us here today on Spotlight, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Melinda, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Great to see you, Mr. Crawford. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. This book is about hardship, it's about triumph, it's about love, it's about resilience, and it's about all of these things that began back in 2003, rather, when your husband fell ill. Tell us a little bit about what happened to him then.
Well, actually, he had a head-to-head baseball injury where they were both in the outfield. Back in the day when he was in high school, they didn't wear helmets, and he head-to-head collision catching a ball. And this started his epileptic journey, unfortunately. So it was very tame and didn't happen very often. But as he grew older, it happened more and more where he would have seizures. And unfortunately, on 2003 was Easter Sunday, he had an epileptic seizure that didn't stop, and that's called a status epilepticus. And so this happened, and the story goes on from there.
So early on in life, he had a head-to-head collision, like you said, playing baseball. That began him on a path, unfortunately, of having epilepsy and
Right.
epileptic seizures. 2003, it gets markedly worse. He has a seizure that doesn't go away for a long time.
Right.
When he does wake up from it, he's changed. His memory's
Right.
gone. Tell us about the manifestations of what happened once he came to.
Well, when he came to, he didn't recognize me. He pulled my ponytail, and um, he thought he was seeing war, and he'd never been to war, so this didn't make sense to me. But well, I would just say not out of
This
it.
sounds like delusional in a way, right? If he's seeing war
Very
scenes,
much
right?
so.
Mhm.
He didn't know where he was. He was stuck back in Cape Girardeau, about, as much as we could tell, about 11 to 12, 13 years behind. He thought his son was very, very young. And at the time, he was much, much older. So it was a difficult challenge to try to get him into the here. So hence the title. But it was a challenge. And as you can imagine, him not knowing where he was, not recognizing anything, his home, his wife, his family, nothing really came to him. My daughter, all kinds of things. It was
He's
quite,
young when this happened. He's like 37 or so.
yes, yes, yes.
37 years old. He doesn't recognize his wife. He doesn't recognize his daughter. How long does that go on? When does he start recognizing you?
Well, I can't say ever really, really got that I was his wife and could remember that. He would remember if someone, I mean, eventually, 2.5 years later, oh, you're married, and Melinda is your wife. But he would just forget in conversation just about everything. It was very unbelievable. He would start talking to you and pull from long, long term memories and think he was an attorney or something like that, and start asking you questions. And then in the middle of it, just say, what were we talking about? And who are you? How do I know you? Things like that. Very
Dealt with
interesting.
anybody who's had dementia or senility or Alzheimer's. We see those kind of similar manifestations where sometimes the long-term memory is very, very clear. The short-term memory is not. In John's case, the long-term memory wasn't great and the short-term memory wasn't great either. And
Right.
do
And
you feel like when he got to know you, it was like he was getting to know you again? Like he didn't have a
all the time.
recollection? Yeah.
He couldn't lay down new memories, which was the scariest thing, because to not be able to lay down a new memory, it's one thing to forget,
Right.
but to not be able to lay down new pathways and lay down new memories is very scary. But he was an amazing man. He did not fear, and this did not scare him. He remembered how to ski. He Everybody knew him on the mountain in Colorado, where we were at some of this time. And it was amazing. He could do, the doctors were amazing that he could walk. They were amazed that his brain was so damaged that he could talk and walk. And so he was very functional, but his memory was just gone.
So his motor skills were still there, which was
Yes.
great because he's able to walk and ski and have that type of life, but his memory was shot. You actually looked at innovative approaches such as traveling to Germany to get stem cell treatment. Tell us about that.
We did. I had terrific in-laws that at the time I was supporting us, and I could not do this, but it just so happened. And as you go through the book, you'll know that certain things just happened in my life that just were sort of what I call amazing events. And one of those was that my beautiful in-laws, Judy and Rock Wilferth, uh, had a connection through Jill, their daughter, John's sister, to a doctor that was in Germany that did stem cell replacements. And we went through this process, and he, I have to say, it was hard for me because at the time they were using embryonic stem cells, and this was a religious
Yeah.
kind of difficulty for me.
Yeah. Dilemma.
But
Yeah.
I wanted him to survive and to get better. And ultimately, we decided to send him over. And his parents paid the way and took him over there. And so he had stem cell replacement and then brought him back with stem cells. And you can tell in the book that there's a lot of hope there. There was a lot of encouragement. Overall, I can't say that it really helped, but you've got to think about it back then versus stem cells now. I mean, it's, a world of difference in medicine and changes and so forth. So I can't say, oh, that doesn't work. It might work. It might have worked now if he were still alive with us.
And 2 decades, technology has advanced exponentially, perhaps more over these 2 decades than ever before. So I do understand what you're saying there. Why did you decide to share your story and John's story with the world? What are you hoping readers get from it?
Well, I guess you'd have to go back. I actually wrote this book while it was happening.
Hmm.
So it was cathartic completely. I was writing it as things were going along. And I mean, obviously, as a writer, you have outlines, you decide what things go where and how you're going to compile it. That happened. But I wrote it basically for myself as a cathartic measure. And it was truly that. It helped me get through some of this tough time. Now, I wanted to share it with everyone because I'm hoping they will get out of it what I got out of it, which was truly a faith-driven message. And it helped me connect more with my faith and truly just overall inspired me just watching my husband go through this. And my hope is that everyone will see this in him. It's really not about me. It's about him and his story.
Well, it's his story. It's also your story because two stories are intertwined, of course. And it was very, very hard on him. No doubt it was very, very hard on you. You also are just in your 30s dealing with something like this, completely out of left field that you never expected in a million years. And you handled it with a lot of grace. And I think it really is a great example for folks out there, for readers, because everybody goes through something in their life to one degree or another. It may be this extreme, it might be a death, it might be, something less severe, but we all have to look at our lives and look at our faith. And sometimes these are the moments where we question our faith, where we say, why me, God? You know, and
We have stories, all of us. I say this to everybody, everyone has a story or two, or
yeah,
maybe three. And it's true. We all have them. And I hope that they'll express them just as I have.
exactly. And learn from your experience as well about you can get through this. There is hope. And I know you had troubled times with John, but there were happy times too during that recovery, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a funny man and very
Mhm.
gregarious, extremely strong and smart. And like I said, fearless, completely fearless. I mean, if I woke up and could not remember, I would be so afraid. And he just amazed me in so